Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Come in, please.
Thanks. Is Thorne here?
No, he and Felicia actually went out to get something to eat.
Oh.
I would have gone with them, but I guess I wasn't hungry.
What's the matter? You not feeling well?
Well, I mean, after Hunter's testimony in the courtroom today, I think it's safe to say I'm upset.
You've let yourself get discouraged?
I'm frightened. This case is going to go to the jury in a few days. I mean, what happens if they come back with a guilty verdict?
Stephanie, you can't let yourself think like that. Jonathan has done a wonderful job. He's given the jury more than enough reason to doubt Grant's accusations. And it's just a matter of time before we all know the truth and Ridge will be set free. And this whole ordeal will be nothing more than a bad memory.
And once Ridge is set free, then what?
While Catherine Kelly Lang is on maternity leave, the role of Brooke Logan Chambers will temporarily be played by Sandra Ferguson.
And what time was that? Did he say he was coming right home? All right. If you do hear from him, tell him to call me, will you? Thank you.
What did his friends say?
They said that they dropped Rick off at the bus stop on their way home.
Is that unusual?
No. And Rick has a bus pass, and he knows Beverly Hills like the back of his hand. He's just never stayed out this late without calling before. I specifically told him that I wanted him home for dinner.
Do you think he's okay, Mommy?
Oh, yes, sweetie. I'm sure he's fine. He's just gonna be in a little bit of trouble when he gets home.
Maybe that's him.
No. Rick has a key. It's okay, I'll get it.
You tell me who shot you right now. Tell me! All right, I'll tell you! I'll tell you. Well? Take this to my grave, Ridge. Now, I'm gonna tell you the truth. But believe me, you're not gonna like it. Just give me a name, Chambers. Give me a name.
You have to promise to get Hunter off this case. He can never find out what really happened.
Give me a name.
It was Rick! God help that little boy, Ridge. It was Rick who shot me.
You're that desperate to get out of this, you'd pin it on a boy, your own stepson?
Ridge, I didn't pin it on him. That's the whole point of this. I never wanted anyone to know. And I'm only telling you because Hunter is closing in on Rick, and we've got to stop him. Ridge, you gotta believe me.
I know Rick. And he would never do something like this. And even if he did, he sure as hell wouldn't let me go to prison for it.
Ridge, you can't say anything. He doesn't remember.
What the hell does that mean?
I talked to Taylor. She thought I was asking about you. When something is too hard for the conscious mind to deal with, you bury it. It's called a dissociative state, and that's what happened to Rick.
And you expect me to buy this? I saw Rick just the other day.
Yeah, how was he? Was he a happy kid? No. He was angry, hostile. He had an attitude. Ridge, that's the way he's been. He snaps at his sister, he ignores his mother, he disappears for hours at a time. The boy needs help, and I'm gonna get it for him, I swear. But you think about what would happen if the world found out what he did, and the media got a hold of that. That boy's life would be over. He'd never survive. He would be ruined. Now, we can't let that happen.
All right. I want you to tell me. You tell me exactly what you saw.
If Ridge is released, when Ridge is released, he's going to want to start his life all over again.
I've been giving that some thought.
You have?
Mm-hmm. And you're wondering if I'm planning on being a part of that life.
And?
Ridge and I talked, and we know that we want to be together.
Oh, this is wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. Oh,
I know. Thank you.
I knew you'd make the right decision.
Well, it really wasn't a decision. It was just a matter of sitting down and talking and realizing that we were always meant to be together. Now it's just, it's a matter of helping Thorne understand that.
Oh, I see. That's why you came by.
Stephanie, I would have talked to him a lot sooner, but I just haven't had the time. You know, if I'm really going to be honest about it, I haven't done it because it's something I'm not looking forward to. I mean, we're talking about a man who saved my life. And when I was too scared to fight my way back, he was there for me, and he helped me believe in my own strength again, and everything that he's done has been for me. And now how do I tell him that the one thing that I know would make him happy is the one thing that I can't give him?
I know, my son. I know Thorne would never want you to stay with him out of a sense of obligation or gratitude.
You know, I finally understand what Ridge went through, having feelings for two different people.
Well, look, all that you have to concentrate on right now is you and he are together again, where you belong. And Thorne will eventually come to accept this. He will.
Would Mrs. Chambers be in?
May I say who's calling?
My name's Hunter Jones.
Katie, who is it? Mr. Jones, what are you doing here?
I was hoping to ask you a few questions.
This just really isn't a very good time. I'll get it. Hello? Eric. No, I haven't heard from him. I know, I'm trying not to. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Something going on?
Well, Rick missed dinner, and we're not sure where he is.
Rick, her son?
That's right.
Eric said he's going to call over to Forrester and have the security guards just check some of the offices.
But surely they must know if he's in the building.
Well, there's been a shift change. Some of the guards may not have seen Rick if he came in.
Well, they keep records.
Yeah, not with Rick. Everybody knows him. He just comes and goes as he pleases.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Jones, this is my sister, Katie. It's my mother, Beth, and this is Bridget.
Hello.
Hello, Bridget.
Are you a friend of Grant's, Mr. Jones?
Well, I work for Ridge, actually. I've been,
He's a friend of Ridge's.
Budge, why don't we get you ready for bed, huh? I want to wait for Rick to come home.
We will let you know as soon as he gets here, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't know?
We filled her in on the basics, but we're trying to protect her as much as we can.
Probably wisest.
It's a shame you couldn't do the same for Rick.
Take it he knows everything.
What he hasn't learned from us, he's learned from the newspapers. Or heard from his friends.
Tough, especially for a kid that age.
It's been very difficult.
Ah, yes. Suppose Grant's out looking for him.
Actually, we're not sure where Grant is.
Well, I guess they'll both turn up together.
I don't think so. Rick isn't very fond of Grant these days.
I was at my desk, and I was working. I knew about the gun, and I was worried about it, but I just tried not to think about it. Now, this is gonna sound really bizarre, but it's like I felt this presence in the room. So I looked up, and I saw Rick. There was a look in his eyes. I can't describe it. It was hatred, yet it was so calm. It's like he was in some kind of trance. I was afraid even before I saw the gun. And then I saw it. He never said a word. He just raised it up, aimed, and fired. So he dropped the gun and ran off.
No. Rick's fingerprints weren't even found on the gun.
That's because he was wearing his golfing glove from his tournament that day.
He didn't even know about the gun.
Well, obviously he did. I don't know how. Ridge, does he go through your things, your drawers, your drawing tools? He does, doesn't he?
Wait, the award. What about the award? It was found on the floor.
Well, I must have knocked it off when I fell back. Come on, Ridge, you know I didn't shoot myself. There's no gunshot residue on that award, the piping, the desk, anywhere in the room. This is the only explanation that fits.
I'm never gonna believe a crazy story like this, Grant. Rick may hate you a lot. But he's no psychopath. He would never do something like this. He's a good kid.
Ridge, we're not talking about dislike. He hates me. He tried to kill me.
But why?
What?
Why does he hate you so much? What did you do to him?
I didn't do anything to him.
So help me, Chambers, if you laid one hand on a
listen to
kid.
me. Just listen to me. It's not because of me. It's you, Ridge. It's because of you.
I'm sorry. You said that you had to ask me some questions.
I realize this is not a good time.
No, it's okay. I would do anything to get to the bottom of this.
Are you saying you don't believe your husband's story?
I'm saying that I don't believe it was Ridge that shot him.
You think that he was mistaken in his identification of Ridge?
I know it isn't a very logical theory, but it's the only explanation that I can come up with.
There's one other possibility. And that is that Grant knows who shot him and doesn't want him or her to get caught. Now, this means that it's not a case of him fingering Ridge. He's protecting the person who actually did it.
Why would Grant protect someone that tried to kill him?
Got to be someone who he cares a great deal about.
I think you're onto something. I mean, we know how protective Grant can be. Look how he sent you and Bridget to Paris.
And Rick.
No, Rick didn't go.
He didn't?
He had a basketball tournament or something.
A golf tournament.
Oh, that's right. I remember he called you after he lost.
He was so depressed.
Wasn't that right before the shooting?
Yes, I think so.
Excuse me. Where was this tournament?
At the club?
Beverly Hills Golf Club?
Yes. Why? Where have you been?
At the range.
And you couldn't let me know?
Gosh, all I was doing, Mom, was hitting some balls. Big deal. Who's this?
Mr. Jones.
Oh, yeah. You're the guy that's gonna prove Grant's lying. Cool.
Rick, go up to your room and get washed up.
What'd I do?
We'll talk about this upstairs. And leave your bus pass. You're grounded.
Fine.
Rick!
Just let him go.
Did I do that wrong?
No. You did it just wrong. There's nothing else you can do right.
I don't know what to do with him. I swear, I don't know who he is anymore.
Just give yourself a few minutes.
It's okay.
What are you talking about?
Rick hates me because of you. He blames me for you leaving.
Oh, come on, Grant.
Doesn't sound familiar? Well, it should. The same thing happened when you moved in with Brooke, remember? She told me all about it. How Rick wanted his parents to get back together and how he resented you for keeping them apart. She told me about his fits of rage, the fights he got into. He was totally uncontrollable. But you took care of that. You got that little boy to love and to trust you, and you told him that you'd always be there for him. And somehow this damaged, fragile little boy found the strength to put all his faith in you. And then you abandoned him.
I didn't abandon him.
You moved out, Ridge. You didn't marry his mother. So for the second time, he felt completely rejected by the most important man in his life. And what do you think that did to him? It put him over the edge. Now, he couldn't blame you, because that would hurt too much to think that you left on your own free will. So I became the bad guy. I became the focus of all that pin-up rage and hostility. And you can't believe that he would lash out. I can't believe that he held on for as long as he did. So he finally snapped. He picked up that gun and he shot me. Because in his mind, at some level, he thought they would bring you back to him. Now do you understand? This wasn't about revenge. I was doing what I had to do for Rick's sake. And when I woke up in that office and that cop was staring in my face, demanding to know who shot me, I was in shock. I was dazed. But I knew that I couldn't let him find out that Rick shot me. I had to give him somebody else. So when I looked around that room, I saw you. Yes, Ridge. I lied. I lied. To protect that boy. And I think in that same situation, you would have done the same thing. Now, man, I wish to God there was another choice. And I've racked my brain for weeks, trying to come up with another solution, but there isn't one. Those police closed that investigation because they had you. Now, if I'd have changed my story just a little bit, they would have reopened that investigation and they would have found out that Rick was in that building that night. And if they questioned him, the state he was in, who knows what would have happened to him. Ridge, I did everything to protect that little boy. But I'm telling you, it may be too late. Because Hunter is hot on his trail.
You mean?
When he was in my office that night, he dropped something. A golf tee.
Golf tee?
Yes, the same golf tee that Hunter's been so fascinated with. And he is so close to finding out what happened that night. You've got to stop him.
How do you expect me to do that, Grant?
I don't know how you're going to do it. But if you don't, Rick is going to go through the same hell you have. Only worse. Now I've done everything that I can do. The rest, my friend, is up to you.